welcome to Rebellious Ruth this evening. And if you are not yet a subscriber, click that subscribe button. Yes. So tonight I've got very an exciting guest with me tonight, someone who I think we all need at this time. His name is Hanan, Dr. Hanan Bushkin. So welcome, Dr. Hanan.
Great to be with you, Ruth. Thanks for having me.
No, lekker, man. Such a warm smile, you already feel at peace. You're in the doctor's office and you feel at peace. It's gonna be okay.
Okay, absolutely.
So yeah, like we were saying earlier on, it's crazy times and hectic times, but I sort of wanted to just ask you a couple of questions. What keeps you going positive, like in your life? Like, what do you say to someone who's lost hope? Who's like decided they've lost everything, they've lost someone?
Yeah. You know what, Ruth, the thing is that we are going through a crazy time. The world is always changing, but now it's changing at a rapid pace and the brain can't keep up. The brain likes to be able to predict what's coming up next, but when things change so quickly, so rapidly, the brain doesn't know what to expect next, and it goes into what we call fight or flight, because it can't anticipate the next dragon that's hiding behind the corner that's going to come and eat us up. So we are always this adrenaline and this cortisol and all these chemicals that are rushing through our bodies that make us prepare for this crazy unknown. So it is a very difficult time, and we have to adjust. That's the trick. We have to adjust to the unknown. It is what it is. The definition of suffering is being somewhere and wish you were somewhere else. So being in Joburg and wish you were in Cape Town, being single and you wish you were married, being married and wish you were single. So the moment we are, this is where we're at. There is no other place. This is it. And you can fantasize all you want about what it could have been, what it should have been, what it must be, but it is what it is. And it's not about the fantasy. It's about making sure that you make the most out of this right here, right now. So, you know, the people think stress is mainly in your body. So you ask somebody, where do you feel stress? And people go, well, I feel it in my body. I feel it in my chest. I feel it in my tummy. And the truth is the body can handle a ton load of stress. When you think your body is done, it's probably at 90% capacity left. When the mind is gone, now you're in trouble. Now you're going to burn out. Most people don't burn out because their bodies are done. Most people burn out because they've given up hope. And the moment you give up hope, you're done. So think about running a marathon. The moment you're running a marathon, your body can take on a lot. But the moment you've given up, it's game over. And I always tell people, never, ever give up. So I'm sure you don't know this, but I'm a big fan of Viktor Frankl.
Yes.
Do you know that? So I did my PhD on Viktor Frankl and his work, Meaning of Life. And he witnessed something really interesting in the camps. He said that a lot of physically strong men did not make it, but physically weak men, some saw it right through the concentration camp. And he wondered why. And he said that the moment they had something to look forward to, and he actually quotes, he says, he witnessed a lot of families being led into the gas chambers knowing that they were going to die, but on the way there, they were singing and dancing. And he said everything can be taken of a man except the last of all human freedoms, the freedom to choose one's own attitude. No one can take that away from you. People can bind your hands, can bind your feet, can give you COVID, the universe is very random and sometimes very cruel. But what no one can take away from you is your attitude to any given situation. So you asked me the question, what do you do when you lose hope? Let your body handle it, but do not lose hope. Do not lose your mental edge. Do not lose your mental attitude, because the moment that's gone, then you're done. Always have something to chase. Always have a goal to achieve. Always have something bigger to be able to transcend this present moment. Again, suffering is suffering when you've given up. Don't give up. Keep on chasing.
Amen. So there are a couple of guests, by the way, viewers. If anyone wants to ask Hanan a quick question, just to highlight at Rebellious Ruth. Hanan, I hope you are sharing this and that your fellow peeps are watching. I'm just trying to, one commenter says, yes, why being crazy helps. And of course, we term, I suppose, being a little bit eccentric, taking things not too seriously. And yeah, I suppose that helps to enlighten mood. So in now, like, okay, so you've touched on that. So have hope, keep your attitude up, have a goal. And then there's also the question of severe mental illness, right? Like, how do you know someone's on the verge of where they actually, their chemicals in their brain, their fight or flight response cannot work anymore, and they need actual, like, psychiatric help? Like, so from you, like, do you often recommend patients or not really?
So my general rule is that if you don't need the aid of any external help, whether it's a physical crutch, if you don't need it, you don't need it, to medication, to anything that you can develop yourself, then don't rely on an external anything if you can actually build the resilience yourself. Of course, there are cases when the person can't cope without medication, especially when it's a medical psychiatric disorder as opposed to a psychological one. When it's a medical psychiatric disorder and the person can't function, they can't hold down a job, they can't hold down a marriage, they can't get out of their house and drive their car or engage with other people, they isolate themselves and lock themselves up, and they need the medication to just give them that boost. Absolutely. So the way I define an issue, let's call it, is when you cannot function effectively as per your definition of what effectively means. So when you can't function effectively as per your definition of what effectively means, it's very dangerous to judge normal by the average, because the average has 2.3 kids and a picket fence and a Labrador. But do you know anybody that has 2.3 kids and a picket fence and a Labrador? That is just an average that we compare ourselves to. And, and that will just naturally make us feel not good enough. Judge yourself. Are you at a point in your life where you want to be? Is this how you'd wake up in 8 years' time and go, I'm glad I was at this point and I'm glad I lived my life this way? And if their answer is no, then do something about it. You don't have to stay stuck. You can find the tools, the methods, the people that will motivate you, the network, the mentorship that will get you from point A to point B. Just because you don't know how to fix a car doesn't mean you can't lean on somebody that will help you discover how to fix this car. Just because you don't know how to get from point A to point B, it doesn't mean that you can't lean on somebody that will help you get from point A to point B. So to go back to your question on medication, when the person needs it, when they cannot function without it, it could be really useful to lean on somebody that will guide you. But when you can learn the methods, the techniques, the resiliency, the way to move from point A to point B, you should develop that skill to serve you for the rest of your life.
Wow. No, that's profound. That's brilliant. And I mean, being a psychologist, I know you're extremely busy. What have you noticed? Okay, South Africans have I think we have a massive, I don't know if it's tolerance or apathy or just used to trauma. And I think there are a lot of, what do you find in your practice, Marv? Do you think it's more trauma related? Is it more like anger? Is it just over the board, like from everything to anything? Or is there stats that South Africans suffer more with road rage? Or can you sort of...
So my speciality, I specialize in anxiety disorders and trauma. That's what I specialize in. And over the last year and a half, anxiety has been through the roof for obvious reasons. As I said, the moment your world starts to spin, your body starts to react to the spin. And that reaction is very natural and very normal. So, but we call it anxiety. But remember, there's reasonable anxiety and there's unreasonable anxiety. When the lion is in the room and I am in danger and I feel anxious, that's wonderful, that's reasonable. And that anxiety will help me fight or flight. But when a little poodle is in the room and I feel the same level of anxiety, that anxiety no longer serves me any purpose. It no longer has utility. And the moment my body reacts to and part of my environment or world, but that reaction has no utility, has no value, that's what we call unreasonable emotion, unreasonable physiological response. So to answer your questions, South Africa, or at least in the world, the anxiety rate has just been doing this over the last year and a half for the right reasons. The problem is people have been losing control over not knowing how to manage it. What do I do with it? How do I fix it? How do I move myself from this fight or flight to a control state, which makes people freak out even more. I want you to understand that a loss of control is not what your body does. A loss of control is how your head interprets what your body does. And I'll say it again because that's incredibly profound. If you take anything out of today, this will change your life. A loss of control is not what your body does. Your body will go through ups and downs. There are moments when your body feels on a high and the moments when your body feels on a low, and that will happen throughout the day. It depends on the time of the day, it depends on the weather, it depends on the time of the month, it depends on what you ate and how you slept and the cup of coffee that you drank. Your body will do this. The moment your head interprets that as, I don't know what to do with it, that is when you're going to feel out of control. The moment your head interprets that as, I don't know what to do with it, that's when you're going to feel out of control. The moment your head doesn't interpret that as really anything, that's when you're going to feel in control. Emotion is not what your body does. Emotion is how your head interprets what your body does.
All right, say it again.
Emotion is not what your body does. Right. Emotion is the way your head interprets what your body does. So let me give you an example.
Okay.
Right? So think about it this way. People think that emotion is in your body, right? Where do you feel anger in your body? Where do you feel anxiety in your body? Where do you feel frustration in your body? Where do you feel guilt in your body, right? But I want you to understand that emotion is not in your body. Emotion is an interpretation of what your body does. So a physiological reaction, an interpretation, and an interpretation of that physiological reaction is what creates an emotion. Emotion is not what your body does. So I'll give you an analogy. Imagine I inject you with, so if, for example, I'll give you another analogy. Imagine I tie 1,000 sensors onto your body and we check exactly what your body's doing physiologically. So we check your heart rate, blood pressure, and cortisol level, adrenaline, the whole lot, hormones level, everything. And I print that out. Ruth, I print your physiological reaction out. And I give it to a world expert on emotion and ask this world expert, what emotion is Ruth having based on these physiological symptoms? You know what this world expert will say? I have no idea, because it's not my interpretation of the way her body reacts. It's her interpretation of what your body does. So you see, for you, you might interpret your body and go, oh my God, I feel angry. And if I take the same physiology and I give it to someone else, they might feel excited. Somebody else might feel angry. Somebody else might feel frustrated. Somebody else might have a panic attack. Emotion is not what your body does. Emotion is an interpret what your body does. That's it.
I'm getting it. I'm getting it. And how many years did you? Thank you. Wow.
But it's very difficult for people to understand because people go, well, you know, so because it's not taught. This thing is not taught. But the moment you understand, it gives you power, because emotion, it's how your head interprets what your body does. And what many people do is they try to control emotion by controlling their body, but you should control the interpretation. And that's what therapy is about.
Okay. So how do people get hold of you? I know you're very busy, but I know, so Brandon has a quick question, and I think it's something in his life. Do you mind?
Please.
And then I want to get onto that rebellious question, but he says it like this: what if the point in life is no longer what it always was? You've achieved your goals, seek a simpler life, but too hesitant to change into second gear when you've chased the rat race success dragon. So I think Brandon's saying he wants to completely move lanes and change direction in his life, but he's hesitant. How can he allay his fears and make that change? I think you did mention a little bit, but yeah, if you could.
Yeah, of course. Listen, you head towards a specific goal, and sometimes life goes, listen, that's a dead end now. And sometimes you can tweak, you can change, you can work under the obstacle, over the obstacle, and still get to your goal. But sometimes you keep on bashing your head against the wall, and you have to ask yourself, do I need to shift and pivot what I'm chasing? And during this COVID, especially with the changes that are happening outside of us, we have to shift our goal. And we have to create a strategy to getting to our goal. So my goal was, my true north was over there. Now my true north might be over there. create a game plan for yourself to get to your true new goal. Define your true new goal. Define it. Know what you're chasing and create strategies to get there, and then bungee jump. And then bungee jump. But I always say, Ruth, I think this, and I say bungee jump because nobody ever finds it comfortable to do something new. But you got to do it and do it and do it and do it and do it. And after 50 times of doing it, now you feel comfortable doing it. So the emotion precedes. People think the emotion precedes the doing, but it's actually the other way around. The behavior, exactly, doing
comes first.
Doing comes first. But this is important, Ruth. It's doing and doing and doing and doing and doing comes first. Not doing comes first. 50 times doing comes first. Because sometimes doing the right thing makes you feel awfully bad. So you don't get that immediate feedback.
Yeah.
But doing and doing 50 times in a row, now you start feeling good. So, but I advise to anybody that has changed their and have pivoted on their goal, create a goal, know what you want, create a blueprint to get there, and just bungee jump.
Okay, sounds like what I've done recently.
Good.
But
and you got to keep on doing it.
And this YouTube channel.
Lovely. Do it 50 times in a row.
So quickly, Elizabeth wants to know, why do you think they should have more, or she says it like this, why is there no mental strength courses in schools? Because when your mind is strong, we won't have the problems we have. Elizabeth is very wise. And so, yeah.
That's incredibly powerful. I agree with you. I am actually going to work with schools actually to create a mental health program or a mental wealth program. Yeah, for sure. If kids know how to control this and never give up and have that mental attitude strength, that's for life.
I mean, that is for life.
That's for life.
All right, so now we've all been stuck away, and some of us have gotten more rounders. Some of us are very depressed, very not feeling too sexually, and we with our partners. How can we try and work on, and obviously everyone's always on social media, and there's all this threat of, I know you did a little broadcast on your Facebook channel about cheating. I know it's there, and this relates to what you were saying as well. If you practice the cheating, I think in a way, if I could make sense of this, the emotion will follow, if that makes sense. But it's it's not, but forget the cheating. We're talking about partners. We're so busy trying to protect ourselves from the world. We sometimes protect ourselves from our dearest and closest. So how would you say we want that connection back again? How would you go about that?
So look, to make any relationship work, there has to be 6 fundamentals: trust, attraction, intimacy, communication, common shared values, and compromise. One of those things is intimacy. Intimacy is a non-negotiable, right? That's one of the 6. They have to be there.
Yeah.
But the human brain adjusts very quickly. So what you can do something 10 times, which can be, you can go on the same roller coaster 10 times. The first 10 times are really exciting and interesting. But then, the next 50 is kind of boring because your brain adjusts to it, knows what to expect, knows how it works, knows when the scary parts are, knows when the boring parts are, and it kind of gets used to it. There's no more excitement. You got to make things exciting, from intimacy to attraction, to change it up in terms of communication in the relationship, to gifting. And gifting doesn't mean anything physical. It could be practical. It could be intellectual. It could be touch. It could be
a bubble bath. Hint.
You're not hinting. We're just talking. You're not hinting.
No, not at all.
Just talking.
Dinner made already.
So keep things exciting, but that's where the communication comes in. You got to have the kind of relationship with your partner goes, you know what, on the boring scale, I'm hitting it quite high. Can we just change things up a bit? Because your partner can't guess what you're thinking, because the roller coaster could still be exciting for them, but it could be as boring as hell for you. So the communication could keep it up. We have different energies in the relationship. You might have very high energy, so maybe your partner's got very low energy, or vice versa. People with high energy, they need change all the time. People with low energy can kind of stick to the same roller coaster over and over. And as a matter of fact, they don't like roller coasters. They like the teacup ride. The ones that you go around and around and around and around, and they can do that for 50 years. But if you can't, then you got to speak up, and you got to keep things exciting and interesting, and you got to spice things up for sure.
Yeah, it's like animals can only do it one way. We've been afforded to speak, so yeah, you need to speak to your people.
Speak up. And if you don't know what to say, listen, the internet is incredibly rich with a lot of useless information, but a lot of some good ones too. So just check it out for sure.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much. Really, really thank you so much for being here. Maybe once in a while, you can pop in again and say how's it.
I'd love to.
But yes, so all right. Well, end of the day, you hopefully have an early night.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. It's been lovely.
Pleasure. Okay. Take care, everybody. TTFN. Bye. Hold on.